Hi, designers. How are you? Sorry about that. We are here, and I want to make sure that you can see me and you can hear me, and we're all here. All right. Yay. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. My computer is malfunctioning. That's what happens when you go to the office for 2 days. Nothing wants to work. But I'm very excited to get started, and I'm going to go ahead and invite Lindsay, portrait of Lindsey Brooke Design, to the screen right now. So bear with us while we get Lindsay up and on the screen.
Hi.
Hi. So good to see you. Sorry, of course, I know difficulties, but thank you so much to our team. And as we're talking today, we definitely want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So the best place to ask questions is actually down below. Do you see where it says ask a question? And we will make sure to get to all of your questions at the end of our session. Just to introduce Lindsay to a couple of you, Lindsay and I go way back. We're longtime friends, but she really runs. Yes, exactly. The Ivy connection. And Lindsay is the founder and principal at Lindsey Brooke Design, based out of Los Angeles, Sherman Oaks area, but travels near and far and everywhere. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. She has a very beautiful Instagram feed and website, and she's killing it. So Lindsay's background as an artist allows her to design spaces that are intentional and unique to every client. From mixing earthy textures with bold textiles, my favorite, you can tell by my wallpaper, curating vintage finds and contemporary elements, Lindsay pulls off her inspiration from the beautiful California landscapes that she calls home. Also, she's a mother of 2, and I know a lot of you are moms out there, so how do you do it all? Lindsay does design spaces that are not only filled with beauty, but that are also functional for the everyday family. And most recently, she's been featured in Rue, S&P Living, and My Domain. So very exciting. Please welcome.
Thank you.
Lindsay, how's it going? How's everything going with you? Are you crazy?
Very good, crazy. My oldest just started kindergarten yesterday, so it's a little nuts here, but we're doing good. Having some growing pains, but that's kind of part of the process, and we're just kind of figuring out what our next steps are.
Great. Well, and I know it might seem a little bit delayed, like what are we even doing talking about Vegas, but I know everybody has kind of just been on this crazy whirlwind, and now everybody's back to school. What happened in Vegas? So today we'll be meeting Lindsay, which you just did. We'll talk about summer trends. We'll talk about new brands, new vendors. We'll talk about January market, July market, and we'll also talk about how to utilize Ivy on the go at markets, because I know that's a challenge. So first question for you, Lindsay. Give us the 411. What, if any, are the top trends that you saw at July market, summer market?
So this is only my 3rd market. So I just want to preface with that I'm new to going to markets, and I haven't gone to High Point yet, which I will be going to this October. So I've gone to Las Vegas market the last 2 times in January, and recently this last summer. I have found between the 2, the trends aren't gonna be drastically different within 6 months of each other. But what I have found, especially at this last market, is that you're still seeing a lot of those warm wood tones coming through. I saw a lot of caning and chairs and things like that. A lot of the colors were still very muted colors, but just had a lot of saturation. So if you saw any greens or rust colors, they were just really saturated with color. So they were a little bit bolder than maybe you would have seen in January. And that's probably just getting ready for some fall products. But I still saw, as far as color goes, a lot of kind of organic colors, greens, rust, blues, warm tones. And then I saw a lot of curved lines in product. So a lot of curved sofas. That was probably the biggest trend that I saw shift from January. A lot of scalloped edges and bed frames, things like that. A lot of curved chairs. So I think that furniture manufacturers are probably getting a little bit more creative and not just doing straight lines of things. And that's kind of where it was a little bit exciting for me, because, you know, you kind of want to step out of your box a little bit. And sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know about a curved sofa, you know, or so I just felt like that was probably the biggest trend. But I would say those three, especially with the color saturation, was definitely a lot more bolder and deeper hues. But you're going to find that, you know, for product for fall anywhere you go too.
Do you typically use those bolder, deeper? Because when I look at your work, I see a lot of airy, light, bright, playful, like California landscapes. But how do you incorporate those bolder tones into your work?
So I do a lot of like neutral bases, and then I pop in the color in rugs and pillows. So to find a really deep hued green chair from Four Hands, which I love, is something a little bit different for me, that I can just pop that in and it can be an accent piece, and it doesn't have to be a full sofa, because my clients have, you know, usually smaller children. And so they don't really want to step out of the box quite yet. They're not ready for that. They're not in that kind of time frame in their life. So I think being able to have that in just an accent piece or a pillow or a rug is a lot more comfortable for them. So I felt like those pieces were really fun to find, and hopefully I can, you know, try to sneak those in soon.
So speaking of Four Hands, I know you shop at Four Hands a lot, and that's a brand that's worked really well for you. Is there any other new brands, new vendors that you were able to spot at this market that you're willing to share with us?
Yes. So for me, it was really important this market to find vendors who were on the West Coast. Just for me, since I'm on the West Coast, the shipping costs are down. I don't necessarily have to use a receiver at that point, because I have a local trucking company that can just go pick up the product and either bring it back to my warehouse or bring it straight to my client's house. So I was really kind of on the hunt for that. Company, and you know, these companies might not be new to everyone. Just remember, you know, it's my third time. So Miva was a great company to find, since they were local. I also found, have some pamphlets here to show you. Urbia, they had some really great outdoor furniture
that's super cute.
It's really beautiful, and they come in, you know, black, white, kind of any cement grays, and these chairs that were stackable came in a ton of different colors. I feel like outdoor furniture is really hard to find wholesale vendors. So this was a really, really good find. I also found Black Label Home, which is a upholstery company, and they do custom sofas, beds. I think there's a few, if I can show you.
That's gorgeous.
Styles there, and they're out of California too.
How's the price point?
The price point is going to be like RH Home. So a couch is going to be maybe $4,000, but you're going to customize it to everything. And their filling is the Trillium filling, which I find to be really nice. People like that. And it's nice for me because their factory is here. So they invited me down to their factory. So I'm going to schedule a time to go see that. So I feel like outdoor and upholstery is kind of the products that I think a lot of people are going to market to try to find. And this was really good for me to.
That's amazing. That's gorgeous. I don't know if the Wi-Fi froze a little bit there, but I think we might have lost you, Lindsey. And we'll just wait just a second for Lindsey to pop back on. While I have you guys on here, I just want to make sure, how many of you were actually able to attend market this coming summer? And how many of you, you can just say, I do, you can say it in the chat, that's fine. How many of you go to January market and you don't go to July market? How many of you go to both markets? Because this is actually a big question that we get a lot, and it is very important. Lindsey, you said you went to market in January and you went to market in July. How do you know which market to go to? Why did you go to both markets? Tell us. We were so curious.
Well, January was my first market, and I've been there twice before I went to summer market. One, I didn't want to go to Las Vegas in summer because I hate the heat. But I went there because in a High Point just 2 months later, I felt like I am to the point now where I'm buying a lot of my accessories through wholesale, and I'm not really shopping so much at Target and the retailers anymore. So I really went there to buy accessories. I felt like in January, it's way more of a networking time too. That's where I went out to dinner with other designers. A lot more designers I felt went. So it was a little less crowded in July, which was nice when I was actually going there to shop and purchase. And I felt like there were networking opportunities, but I didn't feel like I had to go to dinner every night after I just walked around for 6 hours. And I didn't have to kind of be on all the time, which I really love networking and meeting other designers. And I felt like that was more for January. In July, it was nice because it wasn't as crowded. Because I'm close, it's not that big of a deal for me to go to Las Vegas. I went for 48 hours. So it was nice because I went to source all the accessories, and I spent one whole day shopping for accessories, purchasing everything. The time before I purchased them in January, I just looked and kind of took notes, and then I ordered later online. But I just felt like things that came in were things that I was like, oh, I should have seen that in person. Like I should have really taken the time to just like buy everything then, because I ended up buying things that I probably shouldn't have and still have in boxes that I haven't used yet. So I really wanted to make sure that I bought everything accessory wise that I needed. Because I'm a small company, I can't, waste the money on things that I'm not going to be really using or see myself using. And I felt like I had a lot more time to really explore. In January, I just feel like this big pressure of like, go see the top brands, make sure you see everything, get the big appointments. And I feel rushed a lot because I also I can't take the time to go the whole market, period. I can't take 4 days out. Or 5 days out or whatever it is. So it was nice to break it up. I also feel like because you kind of get the first sneak peek of all the fall lines, and sometimes they're not necessarily available until October or the end of September, even November. So by the time High Point comes around, if you like those items and you get those items, you get the invoices in, you're going to get the first batch of all that product, and you're going to see it before anybody's going to be seeing it in High Point, really, for the brands that go to, that show both at Vegas and High Point. So I felt like that was good because I felt like, especially for forehands, where I buy 75% of my, big furniture items.
Yeah.
It really is, hitting the retail or the online.
Yeah, definitely. And so if you had to pick and you were going to go to, I know you haven't been to High Point yet, but do you think that you would still go January Vegas, July Vegas, and pick maybe October for fall High Point, or would you just do one Vegas? You would still do the both Vegas markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from now on, I'm going to plan January to be my like bigger Vegas trip where I'm staying a little bit longer, and I have the furniture appointments with my reps and kind of going over things. And then July, I'll probably just do a quick trip, do most of my accessory buying then. And then I also think that for me, at least, I get a lot of clients in summer that are going to carry me throughout the year. So that's nice because if I have those clients right away, I can start getting ideas and start sourcing some of the newer product and just get a refresh too. I don't necessarily have to spend hours with my rep at forehands or a dovetail or whatever, but I can quickly go through and see what's new or touch things, or if I see something online, I can go there or in a catalog and really pay attention to it. And then I probably will go to High Point every year in October too. I say that now, but I'm pretty sure I'll like it. So
it's amazing. The first time I went to High Point, I was very blown away. I think that like a lot of designers like you will feel it out and try to understand. Some designers are like, I go twice to Vegas, I go twice to High Point, but I think the way that you've broken it down for us really makes sense. And I think for us, even at Ivy, it's interesting that you said that about January, because January, we ended up having that amazing Ivy Lounge, and we had a bunch of networking events. And then it came July, and I personally was just on the road so much. I physically could not get my body to 120-degree heat. So it was more of a personal decision. But I think that's what I've heard too, is that January, more people are there. People do tend to stay away because of the heat. Have you ever thought about going to any other markets besides Vegas and High Point?
I've been thinking about going to Atlanta. I heard that Atlanta's pretty good. And I think that if I start buying more accessories, or if I can house more accessories, that I might try to go to New York to the gift show there. But I think that I'm going to just start slow with High Point, see how I like that. And then maybe next year, if I feel like Atlanta would be good, then I'll try Atlanta.
Layered in. The issue with Atlanta, though, too, I think that it coincides, because I was actually going to go this summer, and it's in July. I think it's January and it's July, so it's kind of
really back to back to Las Vegas in July.
Yeah,
really close.
Okay, so if you were really mainly on a primary, there to buy your accessories, not there so much to have dinners, and even it's so fun, did you run into any Ivies? Did you make any new friends? Any stories that you can share with us?
So I went there to my girlfriend, Kristen from Lifestyle Company. She was speaking on Best of the West.
Oh, great.
So
okay.
it was also kind of a push for me to go to support her. So I mostly did the show with Kristen and her team. So it was nice to kind of both of us to say, hey, have you checked out this brand that I really like that she didn't know about, and vice versa. She would show me brands that they use all the time that I didn't know about. I also ran into Monica from Boho Pillow, which is one of the main places I source pillows, and also Danielle from Danielle Oki Shop. So they were both there, and I was able to really talk to them and tell them kind of what I'm looking for with pillows. And so it was nice because I wouldn't buy it, maybe someone will buy it, but I wouldn't buy it. I'm looking for more organic colors or organic feels or things like that. So it was kind of fun to run into people who aren't necessarily designers, but that work with designers. And then I also had really great conversations with some of the panelists on Best of the West. I talked to Jenny from Green Notebook, or what's her?
Oh, yeah. Is she based in Arizona?
She's in Arizona too. Okay. And then I also talked to Jessie from Scout and Nimble, had a really
Oops, we might have cut out a little bit. I definitely want to make sure that we get to everybody's questions too. So I'm going to ask a question, and hopefully Lindsey will hear my question. Anna was asking, for those of us who are also brand new to market, High Point will be my first market in October. Can you talk about the appointment part? Needed, not needed, if just certain for vendors, who, what, why? It looks like we might have lost Lindsey for a second. So I will go in and talk a little bit about that. I'm not an expert, but I have been to High Point. So Anna, I have to tell you, High Point is a very overwhelming market. What I would actually recommend is, I know Jeannie Chung is leading a Style Spotters tour, and I can get you the link right after this call. If you email me, I can connect you. She does, and I know there's a couple other designers that do like a full day tour. Well, they will take you to the vendor showrooms, and they will take you on all of your appointments. So your day is pretty much mapped out for you, which is pretty awesome. But definitely, I think that for the bigger vendors, having those like scheduled appointments will help you manage your time more wisely. And definitely High Point, once you get the calendar, there's so many good networking events that I definitely think will help you really understand what vendors to look for. I think you have to break it up by day. And she's back.
Hi.
It's not
what happened.
I think we should all just be on vacation, but it's okay. So the question was, and I answered it a little bit because I had experienced this when I went to High Point, and I was just there trying to meet with designers, trying to meet with vendors, trying to understand the whole lay of the land. But Anna had asked, for those of us who are brand new to market, High Point will be her first market. And can you talk about the appointment part? Needed, not needed, if just for certain vendors, who, what, why? And what I was saying, Linz, is that, at High Point Market, there is Jeannie Chung leads a Style Spotters tour, and there's like a couple other tours that are like the whole day. It's free. You just have to apply, and it's a really great way to, one, meet other designers, two, find out if they've been to High Point before, who their favorite brands are, three, easily join. If you are a member within Ivy, you can just go to our Facebook group and you can pop in, hey, does anybody have any recommendations? I'm thinking of this, and be able to break up your schedule. There are a lot of networking events at High Point. It's very overwhelming. Even for me, somebody that's not even trying to see product, I get overwhelmed. But building those relationships with people will help guide you. So what do you recommend about appointments?
Looking back now on my first trip just to Vegas, it was super overwhelming. I wasn't really working with vendors at that time, so I didn't really know who I would be selling the most of. So I actually think that you don't really need to make appointments until you really know what vendors you're going to be using. I even now, I only make appointments with my reps with the vendors that I use a lot. Like Forehands, Dovetail, Alder and Tweed, like just because I want to make sure that I am seeing the new product, or if there's any delays in shipping they'll tell me about, or if they're having any issues with the product or anything like that, if there's new fabrics. Otherwise, I kind of like just browsing and seeing, and I'll talk to people. Usually there's reps and people there. If a brand that you kind of walk into and you see like, wow, I think I could really use this, then just ask them like, hey, do you have an appointment for later today? Or do you have time right now to chat and tell me about the line? But I don't think the first time it's really needed. But I will say that looking back now at my first market trip, it would have been way more worthwhile to been on a tour and to kind of get that information and to be surrounded by peers. I just really like talking shop too with other designers. And so I think that's a great way to start out, especially in High Point, because I think High Point's gonna be super overwhelming to me, and it's gonna be a fourth market trip, you know? So for someone to go to High Point for their first one, I think is really brave. And I think they should definitely do a tour.
Yes. Okay, great. And if you all, I believe we're all ladies here, ladies and gentlemen, if you email me, I will be sure to connect you up with the link for that specific tour that I'm talking about. That's the one that I know. A lot of Ivy designers have been on it and told me it was really amazing. And
she's great. I've met with her separately on different events, and I've been to her showroom, and she, I think, also is a purchaser for Ivy, right?
She is. And it's so funny because Jeannie knows High Point like the back of her hand. I can't even tell you. She was actually on the brochure this year of the High Point guide.
Oh, really?
So she really knows everything there is to know. I don't know anybody off the top of my head that's doing the tour, but if that tour is full, I'm sure there's other people that are amazing too. Jeannie's my High Point buddy. She took me around my first year and led me to everywhere and introduced me to everybody. In terms of tours, just to elaborate, I know some of you guys have been on Jackie Von Tobel and Deb's. It's actually free in Vegas, and they actually cover your hotel, which is amazing, and they arrange like the whole market for you. So that's something. In Vegas, I believe most of the trip except your flight is complimentary. And then in High Point, they do another amazing tour, which last year we did a giveaway, an Instagram giveaway, and we raffled up one of those tickets. I believe it was like $19.50, somewhere around there, but that takes care of your hotel, that takes care of every day. Jackie and Deb know every vendor there is to know. So that's something else to think about for High Point. If you are feeling really overwhelmed, to go on one of those where it's all scheduled out for you, including, you know, all of the Luxe parties are the opening night parties. And that's where you're really going to meet people that are going to also give you that little bit of inside scoop, kind of what we're giving you right now, because we're picking.
And I think it's important to talk to other designers who, especially if you haven't worked with vendors before and haven't really started purchasing wholesale, it's really important. For me, I had that in Kristen at Lifestyle Company. She really helped me kind of understand it, and it's very confusing at first, and there's all sorts of different levels of pricing and different vendors, and it's a lot. So I think even just going on the tour, just to meet other people that you can get to know and befriend and say, hey, can I give you a call, or can I email you if I have questions? That's priceless too.
Yep. Okay, there's more questions coming in, so let me make sure. I think you might have answered this. Caitlin had asked, what are your favorite accessory vendors? We talked a little bit, but do you have just in general some other accessory vendors that you're willing to share with us, Lindsey?
I found a really great basket company, Swahili African Modern, SwahiliWholesale.com. So they had really pretty, these are some of their bigger ones, but they had smaller ones, great for kids spaces or playrooms, or even like the neutral ones could be really great in any part of the home. And then Europe to You is a really great brand. And I think they have a bigger showroom in High Point, but they had a lot of, let me show you, like cutting boards, and really cute kitchen kind of accessory things. These really cool domes. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Really awesome bread bowls, dough bowls, whatever they're called. So this was a great find. I also really love Home Art, Creative Co-op. I mean, those are kind of the bigger guys. Calaloo's great for some kind of smaller items. And I really like Common Ground for books, coffee table books, or any sort of books like that.
Everybody's always asking that in the Ivy group. Those are great answers. Thanks for sharing. We really appreciate the sharing. And then this is a good question from Mary Ann Kelly. Can you talk about your strategy for attending the market? How do you prioritize your time, and what are you going to see besides your immediate client needs? So that's kind of a little bit what you touched on, but more like, do you map 4 hours for this and 4 hours for networking, but like getting into the nitty gritty of your actual day?
So, because now I know certain vendors that I really like to use, I try to just always hit those first because I just kind of want to get them out of the way. I'm really familiar with their products, so I don't need to spend too much time. So I try to hit the people that I personally work with a lot and just kind of go there to see the new product. Or if there's anything that I think that I'm going to be sourcing for clients, I make sure to touch and feel and look and take a ton of pictures, because sometimes my clients want to see actual pictures from my phone when I've seen them in person. Just because, you know, coloring and things like that can always be different if you see it online or in a catalog. So I'll usually try to hit all of those places first. Whether I make appointments with my reps, I'll make them first thing in the morning, or if I don't, I'll try to hit those places first thing in the morning. Then after that, and sometimes with Vegas, because there's 3 buildings, I'll try to do it by building too, but I also feel like A and B buildings are like mostly furniture, you know? So if I'm going to do like my furniture companies, I'll do that. So I'll do A and B, and then I'll go to C. Or if I feel like I don't want to do furniture, I'll go to C first because it's a little bit more exciting because you're doing all the accessories and the fun stuff. But for me, I don't mind bouncing around if I have more kind of a list of like checking things off, like, okay, I've seen that furniture. Or if I said like in January, I had tons of clients that needed tables, dining room tables. So I was like on a hunt. So I spent most of my time in A and B kind of just making sure that I had found some great dining room table options, which I did. So I think you need to kind of ask yourself before you go into market what you're going there for. If there's any vendors that speak to you that you've seen catalogs or online or other designers use that you know about, go to them first. And then I always leave time at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you're kind of over it and your feet hurt. But I kind of allow myself at the end of the day to just kind of roam really slowly around some of the floors and see if there's anything that completely like jumps out at me and pops. And then I'll go in there and kind of get the information. But just like in July, I was on a mission for more accessories. So the first day I did furniture. The second half of the first day I bought the accessories. And then the second day I kind of just browsed and looked for more accessories in C building.
Great, that makes sense. Okay, do you ever hit the building, and I can't remember if it's C, that has all of the Christmas decorations, and is that like what you do? It's like floor 10 or 11, I don't know. But do you...
It's like too much. I don't do Christmas.
It's okay. I was just gonna ask. I saw somebody ask this question in the Facebook group the other day. So, like, I think it was Amanda. You don't do Christmas decorations?
I don't do Christmas decorations. I think that if I had a lot of clients who wanted me to, I would probably buy a few things. But yeah, I don't do that. And I do feel like they do a good job of keeping all of those companies kind of on the same floor, on the same couple of floors, so you don't have to like really go through all of those to find like one great basket place, you know? But I think I still did a quick lap just to make sure there was anything in there. But also a lot of companies that are doing accessories will have like a Christmas section, you know, like Home Accents is also a really great accessory place. That's where I get a lot of like vessels, like vases and pots and things like that. They had a whole half of their store or showroom was Christmas stuff, which is all really great. And it's like so cute. And I want to get it for myself, but I don't want 12 of them.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's what seems overwhelming to me. Pam was also asking, she's based in Florida, and she was saying, for those of us not on the West Coast, do you know any, like the shipping cost to Florida is really high? She said, do you know any vendors on her side? I don't know if you would, but.
I don't, because I think a lot of them, I'm trying to think, just the ones that I kind of saw in July, I was really focused on trying to find West Coast designers. I think maybe we could do something after High Point, and we would probably find some people that are more on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know anybody that's in Florida or around. I think North Carolina would probably be, High Point would probably be the closest. But yeah, I'm still very new to all this, so I'm not 100% sure, you know, what other brands are out there on that side. I'm sorry.
Pam, we can post that in the Ivy Facebook group as well and see if anybody knows. Jenna was asking that she missed the brand of the coffee table books. Do you mind repeating?
Common Ground. So they're a distributor, and they carry a ton of different publishers, and I get a ton of books. There's also and something. I'll get the information to you, but they're a little bit trickier because they're like a huge distributor, and they have like it broken up, and you have to almost go through each publisher to order. And I like Common Ground because it's kind of like walking into Barnes & Noble's, and like rather than having to go to like, here's this section, and then you go to this section, and there's this section. So Common Ground's really nice because they also this year, which was really smart of them, they stacked and they did these kind of like already stackable coffee table books in color palettes. So they did a black one, a white one, a gray one, like a tan one. So I literally just like walked in and said, yep, I want all those. And yep, I want all those. And then you can go through, and they have it kind of like any other bookstore. Like here are the cookbooks, here's the landscape books, here's your specialty books, here's fashion, here's home decor, you know, that. And they have a ton more online. So if you find something that another designer, you know, posted, and you can see like what the title is, you can see if they carry it. And their costs are really good. So if they start off at 40% off of retail. And then if you hit, I think $1,000 MSRP, you get 50% off.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So their price points are good.
Buying all of these things, Lindsay, do you have a warehouse that you're storing stuff at? Like, are you getting the accessories shipped? Are you holding and ordering once you have them, or you just like to have them? Because I saw it on your Instagram.
I have a warehouse, aka my garage, and I also have like, I'm going to try to show you, it's real life people, all the books that I just bought are right there. God. And right there. And so they're kind of like in my office, in my garage. I have my garage is now just shelves and shelves and shelves. I actually have someone in there right now unboxing all the stuff that I got in July.
So you buy it and it stays, and then you can use it for your
and I house it here, and then I pull those items when I do installs here.
That's amazing. So you're not last minute freaking out trying to buy stuff and then return it.
And it saves my time because I'm not spending 2 days going to Target or Pottery Barn or West Elm or Home Goods. I mean, I still go to Home Goods personally because I like shopping Home Goods, and I'll buy things if I, see it. But I want to make a profit. So I don't mark up on items that I buy retail because I feel it's unfair. They can go buy it if they want. But I also feel like they're coming to me to not have things that their friends have in their homes, and their friends are going to have Target items and Pottery Barn items and things like that. So it saves me a lot of time sourcing because I just go into my garage. I can do it at night. if I had, I mean, eventually I do want to have a warehouse that's outside of my home, but it's nice because I could just go there one day, pack it up all in one day, and then I can not have to worry about any returns. I just unpack it and put it back up in the shelves. So that's why when I try to buy things too, I'm looking at overall, what am I going to use in other people's home and how can I use it differently? Because you are buying larger quantities. So I have vases that I have 6 of them, or I have 12 of them. If there's a really high quantity, even if I really love it, I might not buy it because I might say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use that 12 times. Or if it's something that I can house for even 2 years and use it down the line, then I'll keep it because it's a staple item and it's a classic piece. So I don't buy.
When you get those items into your inventory, do you put it into your Ivy account so that you know the cost? Oh, that's really helpful. So you have your own inventory system, even though Ivy isn't necessarily a true inventory tracker. You really created this thing where you can have the picture that you've clipped from the vendor's website. Then you know the cost. Then you go to your install day, whatever the client keeps. Then you mark that at whatever % you mark it at. That's amazing. That's actually much better than having to do.
Yeah, because if it was something that I was just sourcing that day, it wouldn't be in the system. And then I would even have to spend more time making a proposal with all those items, with like notes and all this kind of stuff. So she's basically right now in the garage making sure that everything has come in. She'll mark on the packing slip. And then I'll take that packing slip. I might have someone else do that too. If you have an assistant, this is something that they can do. And you basically can I use the product clipper. So I'll go on Creative Co-op's website and I'll type in the SKU that I got. I'll product clip that into Ivy. I myself, I am a client in Ivy, I guess, and that's how I do the inventory. So I have a Lindsey Brooke Design client and I kind of house all the products that way too. So that way when, Reisa is doing her living room install, and I have everything written down that she kept, I can then just go and type in accessories because I tag everything too to what it is, accessories, vases, clocks, whatever it may be. And it's just going to pop up right there. And then I plug it in and I send off that invoice and it's paid, that day or so.
That's amazing. So that wasn't even something that I knew that you did, which I know a lot about your business. But so I think now you have a system down. But for all of us that live in San Francisco, New York, that don't have a garage, we're going to have to move to the suburbs and get a house with a garage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it actually saves so much time. I'm just thinking in my mind, we have an event later today and it's with a panel of photographers and talking about how to prep for that photo shoot day. And I just remember the pain of when I ran a design firm of going and running out and getting all those items, of how much time you're saving by not only
a lot of time.
It takes so much time.
A lot of time.
And for you to just put your kids to bed at night and do your poll and have this amazing collection of curated items.
If you don't have a garage, you can get a storage unit. So I had a storage unit before that I got rid of because I just felt like I have a 3-car garage. So I do have a really big garage. And I was like, I don't even want to spend the $200 a month on a storage unit until I really needed it. So I got rid of it and I have it in my garage. But I did have it in a storage unit before. So if you don't have a garage, storage units are a great way. Get some racks from Costco and put it all there and have that be an expense. I also charge my clients $65 or $75 a month to hold small accessory items or small accent tables that I can get shipped to my house. So that is kind of like a warehouse fee. So it kind of pays for, because since I have now a lot of cardboard, I have to have a company come out and pick all that up. And so it pays for those expenses. So if you have a storage unit, if you don't have a garage or an extra bedroom in your house, even for smaller companies, you could kind of use that as a fee for the storage unit or any place that you have to house accessories.
And you know what I was just thinking about, Linz, is that in San Francisco, we have some designers. I know a couple designers in the East Bay share an office. An office is one thing, but what about sharing and storage space? Because storage here is extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. It's not $200, but and if designers had this bigger storage space and had it really amazingly organized, then they didn't have to absorb that huge number, and they could just organize it really cute. And have this huge, amazing place that they could go into, because the thing that gets tricky about a storage space is it's like a little bit closed off, but if you have the bigger space, then you can just go pull from there. I mean, that's amazing. That's a genius concept.
And I have a girlfriend out here who has a design studio. Her name's Katie. I think she uses Ivy too, Sunlane Studio. And so we went to Vegas one year together, and we ended up buying, sharing the cost of a lot of accessories that you had to meet minimums that we hadn't bought before. So we didn't know how they were going to do. So we did that. We shared the costs. And then this year I ended up buying a ton more accessories, probably the biggest I've ever bought the last 2 shows. And she has come twice now to pull things that I am like, sure. And I mark it up, I think just 10%. And she still can give a discount to her client and still make a little bit of money off of it, and she doesn't have to house it, and she doesn't have to put all the money in. And I don't know if I would do that to a ton of designers, but designers that I trust or friends or things like that, I think that is a great way to start off too, if you are feeling overwhelmed by the quantities or the amount that you have to put up or storage.
That's a good question. Sherry Pierce was asking, can you address how not to become intimidated by the fact that we are a smaller purchaser, or should we not feel intimidated by that? It's kind of the same. I think people are, I don't know if she necessarily meant quantity, but just a smaller size firm in general as well.
I don't think you should feel intimidated. I think you need to walk in there and own your shit, and you need to say, I'm a great designer and I would love to work with you. Most of the time, some of these companies, like Miva and Moe's and Skyline, they didn't have minimums. Like, you could buy 1 or 2 of them, and sometimes you can even get it shipped directly to your house. They'll drop ship it directly to the client. So I think you just need to find some of those brands that are going to do that. Also, I can't stress enough how important and to utilize the Ivy purchasers. That has been a huge, 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 huge thing for me as a small designer. I work with Mary from Coco Interiors. I work with Vanessa from Fiore Interiors, and do a lot of my purchasing. Visual comfort, you cannot get them unless you do a $10,000 buy-in. I don't have clients like that. I'm not that big of a company. Mary has a visual comfort account, and I order all my visual comfort through her. So she also does Uttermost and Dash and Albert, and I do a lot of my forehands, actually all of my forehands, through Vanessa at Fiore, because she was able to get a better discount than I could get. So I think you need to utilize the Ivy purchasers too, because that is where you won't need to feel intimidated, because because I know Forehands has like a pricing tiered system. So when you first go in there and open an account, you're not going to get the most discount. I can't remember what it is, but I think it's only like 30% off or something.
They have like the stock dealer pricing, the premium stock dealer pricing, the designer net pricing. It's all, I mean, I think they just make up the pricing.
There's like 5 different pricing tiers with Forehands. But Vanessa, I don't even know what she is, but she's way high up there because she does a lot of purchasing with Forehands. So she gets really great prices. So she is somebody to definitely contact if you want to do Forehands. I also feel like you should just talk to, I had a conversation, I can't remember the brand, the first Vegas market I went to, and she said you need to do $10,000 in a year to keep the account. And I said, well, for a small company, and I just kind of laid it out. I'm new. I'm a small company. I run this out of my home. Like, can we lower it? I do think I could do a lot of work with the company. And she was willing to lower it to $7,500. So I think it's just asking. It's just like going into any big retailer and saying, hey, can you, I don't know, kind of negotiate with them. And I don't feel like you should feel intimidated, because just because you're a small firm, you could still be doing more furnishing jobs than bigger firms that do mostly remodels, that don't do a lot of furnishing jobs. So I think you need to just go in there and own it and kind of say, this is who I am. You can even maybe make postcards that have some of your work on there so they can really see how good you are and that you do this kind of, work. And I think that people are more than happy to work with you guys.
Definitely. That's great advice. Lindsey, one last thing I wanted to ask you, well, actually two things, is we talked a little bit about how you use Ivy when you get back home, but how are you utilizing Ivy on the go while you're traveling?
Okay, so I don't know about High Point, but Vegas, there's like no Wi-Fi. Like I could not do anything at the actual market. Except for really take photos and like maybe get a hotspot every once in a while, and like an email would come through. So if you know, unfortunately, that was my kind of problem. But when I went back to the hotel, I have an iPad Pro, so I was able to bring up Ivy on that. It wasn't the app because the iPad Pro acts like an actual, you know, computer. So I was able to bring up Ivy. I think I wrote a proposal that night. I tracked hours. I sent an invoice. And I was able to work for like 2 hours. And then I was also able to work and check things in the morning before I headed to market. So it was so amazing to be able to do that and kind of not miss a beat, especially since I am on my own right now and don't have an assistant back at home that can take care of things while I'm on these kind of trips. It was really nice to feel like I'm coming home and I don't have like 3 days of work to get caught up to.
That's really nice. And what's your favorite feature within Ivy? Like what has been the biggest game changer for you within using Ivy for the past, you know, year and a half, 2 years?
Okay, so Product Clipper is still one of my favorites. I think it makes it so easy to just put product into the system. And now when I'm sourcing things, before I was like product clipping only the things that I was definitely going to present to them. But now I kind of just, anytime I'm sourcing, I think I'm going to like it, I put it in there. So even for the next time, if I'm thinking about that, like before I even source like the catalogs and anything, I'll go into my Ivy and type in chairs and see if there's something that I even like that I maybe sourced for another project. And it's already in there and I don't have to do any other work. But what I will say is now recently I have really started using the project tracker, and that has like been a huge game changer that I don't know why it took me so long to get on board with it.
That Excel spreadsheet, remember?
I was like not using the project tracker, and I was like, I don't know why I was not using it. I think it was a little intimidating to me at first, like, or how am I going to use this? But now I use it to really track all of the shipments and when are things coming in and if they've been received. And because I think the number one question once you are done with the design and you're kind of in the ordering process, I get from my clients is, when is everything going to come in and when are we going to install it? And if you have, you know, a whole house to do, that's a lot of stuff to keep track of. And the project tracker has been just a lifesaver with that. And so I can look and see and go, okay, October 31st is the latest date that something's going to arrive. So I can say, okay, we can do all this in September. And then in October, these are the items that are coming in without having to go through like pages and Excel and all that. It's been amazing.
Love to hear that. Love that you can export the FF&E schedule and it comes out with the picture and it's pretty. You can use it as your checklist when you go to your own personal warehouse. So I definitely think those are all features. We don't want you to not be using the project tracker, be intimidated about the project tracker. So actually on Friday mornings, I believe at 9 o'clock Pacific time, we started to do deep dive sessions into different features within Ivy. And we just did one on the project tracker. So Lindsey,
okay. Well, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, because there's like little weird tips and tricks that like happen that even I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that could happen. And Sivan is really the expert in leading that. Obviously, you have your dedicated account manager. You can ask questions, but sometimes you don't even know what you should be asking questions on. So that's why we started doing that deep dive to really help you move through your business faster. Use Ivy as your virtual assistant. And definitely, I will be showing a quick preview of Ivy for those of you that aren't using Ivy yet. And just want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Lindsey, you're the best. We really appreciate it. Apologize for our technical difficulties, but we made it through. We will try to get you a recap of some of the vendors and the brands that we talked about today.
Yeah, I know that we'll you that list, Reisa.
Yes, that would be awesome. I know that we sent you a lot of information and we should all be at High Point. We will plan some sort of meetup. If you have questions about any of the tours too, feel free to email me. Tara or Ellie will drop in my email address. And thanks so much, Linz.
For those of you, if anybody's going to High Point, like email me or get my info from Reisa, because I'd love to meet up with you guys and we can walk the show together or whatever, because it's going to be a new experience for me too. So it's always better to kind of have somebody to bounce, around with.
Yes, and don't pop off. If you guys are already using Ivy, you can tell everybody how amazing it is. No, I'm just kidding. But don't pop off. If you want to learn more about Ivy, I'll just be running through a couple of the things that Lindsey talked about. I want to show you how to do those things and how she uses herself as her own inventory, as her own client. That's something I've been telling people for years. So we love you for actually utilizing this feature. Yeah. And we'll talk.
Even if they don't do wholesale and they do buy from retail, they can still use that as for their retail stuff. So it doesn't have to just be for wholesale items. It can be for anything that they're housing and keeping away for clients.
Totally, exactly. And Leanne says we can come stay with her in North Carolina if you don't have a place to stay at High Point. So yes, another trick, High Point places book up fast. If you're a member of the Ivy Facebook group and you don't have a place, I would just pop in, hey, I'm looking for a place to stay, because the chances are somebody might have an Airbnb with a room. So. All right. Thanks, Linz. We will talk to you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. And for everybody else, I'm going to be doing a quick screen share right now. Give me a second. Who of you are not using Ivy? If anybody, we definitely want to help show you how Ivy is beneficial as a community and business management tool. So let me go ahead and screen with you right now. So you should be able to see my screen. Just go ahead and confirm that you can see my screen. And this interface, you can tell, is very easy to use, very beautiful. And as Lindsey told us, you can use Ivy on the go because it's based in the cloud. One big thing that I want to tell you that every designer hates doing is tracking time. And we definitely want to make sure that you understand that you can track time on the go with your Ivy app that we just launched. Very exciting. And let me just make sure that you guys can see my screen, because my computer doesn't like me today. So great, you can hear me, you can see my screen. I definitely can't show you right now the Ivy app, but it's a beautiful app. You can track time on the go, total game changer. You can do it from your desktop computer here as well by selecting your project, selecting your service, and you can add in your client meeting and just set the timer right there. If you don't track time and you do it flat fee, you can of course create invoices for that. I do personally still recommend that you track all of your time and just mark it not billable so that you can understand your overall sense of profitability. But that's a whole other conversation that we'll get into. I just want to show you how easy it is to track that time. And then you can literally just log the time right here and you can go ahead and create your invoice. How many of you guys accept online payments, which is another game changer, something I know that Lindsey didn't talk about today, but I know taking online payments just helps the process. If you're a small business, waiting to get paid is super, and if you have an employee, it's not a great way to run your business. You want to keep your accounts receivable down. So you can just click right here, generate your little invoice right there, and then send this out for online payments. You can take credit card, there's a 3% processing fee, or a bank transfer, there's a 2% processing, or 1.2% processing fee. And with that said, this is what it looks like when your client gets this invoice or proposal. Very quick, very easy. Okay. And then from there, what you can do, send that out to your client and you can get paid online. So that is super nice. And I want to go into showing you what it's like to clip an item. Just like Lindsey said, it's still one of her favorite features. It's still a lot of our designers' favorite features because it's something that we remember. We used to take screenshots and have to put together this whole entire presentation. It was super dysfunctional. Nobody has time for dysfunction in interior design, because we already have so many moving parts. So in here, if I go to my vendor's website, let's say I'm going to Cherish's website and I find a beautiful picture that I want to buy for my client, I can go in here, select the image right here. And I have this little Ivy leaf. It's just an extension that nests on your browser. And the hand will turn blue right here. And you can just click into the item there. And it will allow you to click each element of this item so that it makes your life a lot easier. And you don't have to manually input any of the data. Okay, so right here, I'm just clipping the product title. I can add the cost in. I can add a purchase fee. I can say I want it to be $1,000 and it will figure it out. I can select the vendor. I've imported my nice big long vendor list in here. If you go to High Point or if you're a member of Ivy, you can ask somebody to share their vendor list with you. And then you can add this directly to a project and you can add all of the vendor specifications here. And then when I go back to my Ivy proposal right here, just gonna save the product. It saves directly into the library. So that's exactly what Lindsey was telling us. She does this for her own inventory. She does this when she's also putting together proposals. And this is what saves her a great deal of time. So I can just go to create new proposal right here. And that item pops up right in the system. And then I can search all of my products right here. So I can add these in. I can add services. Pretty awesome. You can add a requested deposit. You can change the tax rate. You can also allow your client to approve or decline this proposal by line item. Super helpful. Less back and forth between you and your client, which we know. Anything to save time. It will also save your client money, right? And then I can go ahead and allow my client to view the markup percentage if I want. Allow them to approve by line item. And I can generate my own custom tear sheets as well. So again, no more putting this together on your own. Ivy does it all for you and it looks super branded and it looks super professional. Okay, and then I can add attachments like a sketch or a drawing, send it out to my client, get my money, and then I can create the purchase order directly from the proposal or invoice, and I can send that directly to my vendor. So again, that is super awesome. Vendors will love you, I'm telling you. Vendors will be your best friends. They'll do more favors for you because you're sending them the PO in a very organized fashion. And then I can send this by email to my vendor. I can plug in even the estimated ship date and everything will fall onto a project management calendar. Again, like Lindsey said, anything to save time, save money, everything's right here. You can see all of your done to-do list items. You can see all of your upcoming to-do list items. And what she was really talking about, which I love her for, because I remember the days when she was just using an Excel spreadsheet. I was like, why don't you use the project tracker? So it all came to fruition today. She told me it seemed intimidating. We don't want anything to seem intimidating. This should be your best friend, okay? So you can go maybe to all products that have been approved. You can filter, and you can see a breakdown of everything that's happening with all of the dates right inside of your system. This will make your life easier. It will help your assistant. It will keep you all on the same page, and you can then go ahead and download this as an Excel if you want it to be a working document, or you can download a beautiful FF&E schedule. It will download with the picture. It will download with all of the information right then and there for you. Again, game changer. You can upload all of your clients, all of your vendors. I particularly love going to Vegas and meeting more new people, but I also used to have this Excel document with all my vendors, accounts, passwords, everything was all crazy in different places. You can easily import your existing template. The line item will actually save vendor tags and all of your account usernames and passwords in one place. So again, really just trying to centralize your workflow, get you all in one place so you don't have to be constantly bouncing around all of the different softwares. And of course, the product library, once you clip an item, this is where it goes and it lives so that you can reuse it, like Lindsey said, and you can add vendor tags to items. So this is something I've clipped right here. I could add chairs as a tag, and then I have it so that when I type in chairs, that will automatically just pop up and it saves with all of that data. Okay. Setting up your Ivy account, super, super easy. We've made the process pretty easy. You get a dedicated account manager that can help you through the process. So it's really, we try to take care of everything for you and make your life a little bit easier. In terms of pricing, we have a couple different plans, which we would love to speak to you about. So definitely, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that you can ask me any questions that you have about Ivy. And definitely, we can always spend more time in depth with you. I'm happy to jump on a call. Our team's happy to jump on a call. We also have a lineup of great events, in-person events coming. We always try to do the online events as well so that you can be sitting in your jammies, sitting at your lunch break, in between client meetings, watch us on the go, and really give you really informative information. We have industry webinars. You get access to all of this as a part of Ivy. And most importantly, you get access to the Ivy Facebook group, our private designer network, which is where people like Lindsey are sharing the information that she shared today. We really believe in community over competition. I think that's something that's really near and dear to our heart. So beyond just a software, we want to give you that community. We want to help facilitate those relationships. We want to connect you with people. We want to be a place, a resource center for you to learn everything there is to know. This business is very overwhelming. Listen, I'm still learning things every day. I tried to manage an interior design firm, but I realized helping you guys, helping you designers was more fun for me. And definitely, you know, you need help with somebody to design your website. You need somebody to help you with purchasing. You need an assistant. You just come to us and we'll help you. You need vendor contacts in San Francisco. I've shared a lot of my vendor contacts in San Francisco. So definitely we want to help you. Please reach out. I see a couple questions. Let me answer those questions. Sherry, can you pay the vendor through the PO? You can pay the vendor through the PO. Now, it does charge the vendor a little bit of a processing fee. Some vendors will accept it. It doesn't charge you, it charges the vendor. And you can share the project tracker with your client 100%. You can decide which columns you want to export and share with your client. Maybe you don't want to share the vendor information. Maybe you don't want to share the price, the cost, whatever. You can click the columns that you want and you can share it by PDF or you can share it by Excel. Nicole, are you currently using Ivy right now? And that's something I was talking about with Lindsey earlier. Nicole, and you should know this too, is yes, we give you a dedicated account manager. You sign up to Ivy, you try it out. You have 30 days to try it out. Make sure it works for you. If it doesn't, you get your full money back. But we give you a dedicated account manager to help you. That's your person. If you have questions, keep in mind, we are real people. So it does take, one business day to get back to you, but we really want to help you. And then we have a whole landing page of training webinars, really easy videos to walk you through and set things up beyond just us helping you. And then on top of that, we offer the industry webinars on Wednesdays, and on Fridays, we offer the deep dive into certain features within Ivy. I'm a project manager geek and this looks like heaven. Okay, Nicole, you're exactly like me. Not a designer at all in the slightest, project manager geek, and couldn't figure out between QuickBooks and Excel and Harvest why I had these three things floating around. The Excels were driving me crazy. And that's when I found Ivy. So you're definitely like me. You fall in love with something that you know will make your life easier. And designers typically are doing, 80% admin and 20% design. So we want to flip that equation for you. We want you to be doing 80 or 90% design or 10 and 20% admin. That's how you're going to make more money. That's how you're going to run a more profitable design business. Just closed my first client and considering Ivy. Amazing. Well, definitely, if anybody else, Sherry, if you have questions too, let us know. I know there's other designers on here that might not be asking questions, might be overwhelming. I talk really fast. I have a lot of information, but I just had 2 presentations last week in Southern California, received this amazing, sweet thank you note from somebody that we spoke on the panel last week with Lindy Galloway. So more than happy to share our knowledge and our information. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I definitely think Ivy can help you network, grow your business, and really get your business started in the right way without having to pay a lot of money. And the interesting part that I've seen a lot of designers do is, let's say, you have 6 clients and Ivy costs you $600, just making up numbers, and you can just disperse per year $100 to each of the 6 clients for a project management fee that you're billing them to manage their project. So there's other ways to think creatively about really dispensing and managing your business and managing those overhead costs. Just like Lindsey said, she added that extra $65 a month as like a storage fee. You can get really smart with how you're running your business to make sure that you are profitable from the get-go. My accountant just signed on to my account to see what I'm working with. She was blown away all the things available to us. Amazing. So Sherry, it sounds like you are using Ivy. That's great. And definitely please reach out if you do have questions. Would love to share more with you. And we really want to make sure that you're using your Ivy account to its fullest extent. All right, well, I'm way over my time. Thank you for bearing with us this morning and having fun with us. We're gonna be doing more of these interview type style sessions because I think they're really fun. Hopefully you agree. If you don't, we'll do something different. But I think that it's really helpful. You get to know our Ivy designers and let us know if you have topics that are interesting to you. I picked this one because I get asked these questions all the time. So I thought, why not ask an expert, which Lindsey is, and definitely we'll try to get you a list of those vendors and email us if you have questions. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll see you soon. Bye.